Let's make this episode a special one by just being ourselves and loving ourselves just the way we are. We have Stephen A. Smith giving his take on how the Democrats lost the 2024 election. Let go.
At the Democratic Party and Kamala Harris, who was thrust into the race with less than 110 days to secure the White House. Harris called Donald Trump this afternoon to concede the race to the president-elect. By the way, that's something that Trump never did 4 years ago when he lost to Joe Biden in 2020. But let's talk about Harris and her overall performance in this election, okay? In fairness, I don't think anybody should be laying the party's loss at her feet. I'm going to say that up front, okay? There were missed opportunities from the White House and the Democratic Party, no doubt, but I'm not going to lay it at her feet. Before I even get into it, here's a look at my top 5 reasons, again, why the Democratic Party lost this presidential election. Look at it for yourself. The economy, immigration, crime, the woke culture. That last one, no primary candidate, okay? Let me go down the list. I already brought up how she missed opportunities. Remember when y'all got on me? Because I was sitting here talking about how she needed to go to make herself available and go out there and enter enemy territory and go out there and do interviews that wasn't rife with fluff. Remember I said that? Remember I said that Donald Trump was pointing to the war between Ukraine and Russia, or the Israeli-Palestinian conflict involving Hamas and Hezbollah. Remember I brought up all of that? And I said that Trump would literally use that and engage in some degree of chauvinism because he's going to say, I'm here, I'm doing interviews with everybody. Where is she at? Remember that? And then suddenly everybody caught on. Eventually, I've been saying all along, she couldn't avoid it. You're the vice president of the United States. You should be on top of all of these issues. You should be ready to do interviews at a moment's notice. I'm not saying she didn't know the issues. I think she was overly sensitive to not coming across as if she threw Joe Biden under the bus. But here's the thing. Did Joe Biden deserve to be thrown under the bus? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Let me tell you why. In 2020, he wins election. When he wins the election in 2020, Joe Biden promised to be a transitional president. He called himself a stopgap, an individual that was looking to pave the way for future candidates coming down the pike. He knew that come time for re-election, he would be 81, approaching 82 years of age. He knew that. What's he going to do, stay in office till 86? He gave us the impression that wasn't what he was going to do. What did he did after? What he did was the midterms came about. And it was supposed to be some red wave with a bunch of Republicans winning seats in the Senate and in the House. It didn't happen. So because of that, since he was the incumbent, he was feeling himself because look at how many seats were retained or captured by the Democrats. And as a result, he could stay in office, he could stay in power, and he decided he wasn't going to walk away. And when he decided he wasn't going to walk away, all hell broke loose because we saw health debilitating. His fastball, per se, not necessarily being there. And if we saw it on June 27th, when he went on the stage to debate against Donald Trump, they damn sure saw it beforehand. They saw it, but they couldn't tell us because they weren't going to dime him out. So it's all able to be deduced at this particular moment in time. They knew what was coming on. They knew what was going on. They weren't going to dime him out. They weren't going to expose him like that. So they let him expose himself on the debate stage. Then 3.5 weeks later, he ultimately stepped away and she became the presumptive Democratic nominee. But what also came with that? What also came with that was the skids were greased. And the American public didn't like that because in this nation, we like competition. We want to see him in a primary. Then we would have knew before June 27th, he wasn't ready. And if you're not going to see him, you wanted to see her in a primary. But that didn't happen because by the time he stepped away, it was too late to entertain Dean Phillips or anybody else as a potential Democratic nominee. So as a result, the road was paved for her to go up against Trump unabated. That's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. You may not like hearing it, but that's what happened. That, however, didn't play nearly as big of a role as two things. Number one, the economy. Black folks and minorities. You know what our definition of a good economy is? The value of our dollar and the dollars in our pocket. We don't want to hear inflation ain't the same. It's dipped 2%. If we can't tell when we go to the gas station, when we go to buy some milk and bread, when we go to the grocery store to buy groceries, if we can't tell,
milk and cookies,
we don't want to hear shit about an economy that's improving. Where's the evidence? Trump locked in on inflation and how the value of our dollar had diminished before our very eyes. He didn't bring up his role in it prior to Biden arriving. Smart of him not to. But nevertheless, he focused on that. And the Democrats wouldn't acknowledge but so much how bad it truly, truly was. But that all pales in comparison to immigration. Why is immigration so important? Because from the moment Biden got in office, he opened the floodgates. There was no wall built. There was no lines of demarcation to prevent folks from coming across the border. He opened the borders because he was capitulating to the extreme left. Damn near his first week in office with a bunch of executive orders. And as a result of that reality, you had people fresh off of trying to overcome all the noise and the chaos that Trump had created to go into, oh, damn, what is this about? That is what happened. He opened the borders. And you know what made it even worse when Biden opened the borders, ladies and gentlemen? It was exactly what Obama didn't do. Obama didn't advertise it, but did you know that Obama deported more illegal immigrants than Trump did? Obama deported so many folks. They called him the deporter in chief. That's what they said about him. That was a Democrat in office who did it and was still popular amongst liberals. So you're Biden, why would you go against that and do the polar opposite? Yet he did. And as a result, the right was able to look at our streets being overcrowded, and any immigrant damn near caught getting a ticket for some reason or another was highlighted and illuminated. See what they're doing to our country? And you saw the backdrop, and it didn't even have to be true. It didn't matter. You saw the backdrop, and then you looked at the streets of Los Angeles, the streets of New York City, San Francisco, let's not forget that. And you said, is that what you want your country to look like? Is that what you want taxpayer money funding? And they had them. That, with Biden's slippage, there was no way in hell he was going to beat Trump. So here comes Kamala Harris. And her moment in the sun is to acknowledge that and to veer left, or right rather, and go on an entirely different path than Biden was going. And she didn't do it. That was point number 2. Let me tell you what point number 3 was. All these celebrities, Taylor Swift, Michelle Obama,
Beyonce,
Jennifer Lopez, Beyonce, Oprah. The list went on and on and on. Let me tell you what the problem with all of that was. Let's not forget LeBron James, even though he just put out a tweet. Let me tell you what the problem with that was. Michelle Obama giving a speech in Kalamazoo where she skillfully and brilliantly detailed reproductive rights. Wasn't talking about abortion. She was talking about reproductive rights for women. Fair enough. But then she added a line by saying a vote for him.
I'm sorry. Glorilla, Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi B. Yeah.
Was a vote against us. Don't believe what I'm saying? Take a listen.
We are the ones with the knowledge and experience to know what we need. So please, please do not hand our fates over to the likes of Trump, who knows nothing about us, who has shown deep contempt for us. Because a vote for him is a vote against us, against our health, against our worth.
You see what Michelle Obama said right there? I'm here to tell you that I believe if Michelle Obama was running, she would have won this election by a landslide. She's that popular. She's that skilled. She's a brilliant orator. She's a wonderful woman, the greatest first lady I think this country has ever seen. But when she added that line, how you think American citizens felt? So in other words, if we don't agree with you, we're against you.
Right.
It didn't affect me because I'd already voted for Kamala Harris. Might not have affected most women, maybe some. How'd you think the men felt about that? So we have to do what you tell us to do, otherwise we're anti-you. Thought that worked? Do y'all know anything about most men? Think that's gonna work? How about this one from Oprah? Take a listen.
If we don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible that we will not have the opportunity to ever cast a ballot again. And let me be very clear. If you do not make sure that the people in your life can get to the polls, that is a mistake. Deciding not to decide, that is most definitely a vote to let other people control your future.
Civil rights.
We need to hold these people responsible for when they saying this. Now, come back on them and make them hold them responsible, accountable.
Act of 1964, Voting Rights Act of 1965, been in place since 1965. That's spanning more than nearly 60 years. Okay, and you're going to look an audience in the face and you're going to tell them that if you vote for Donald Trump, you may not ever be able to cast a vote again. Who believed that? Who believed that coming from Oprah? Truly, who believed that?
Nobody.
This is the kind of stuff that alienates an electorate, that alienates a vote or a voter. Because the freedom that you tell them they have, you try to confiscate morally by letting them know you ain't worth a damn unless you vote the way we say you should vote. Who's going to go for that in a general election with an economy rife with inflation, with over 12 million people coming across the borders, with people wondering about their dollars, the dollars that they earn, the dollars that they have in their pocket, the value of that dollar dissipating before our very eyes. But in the same breath, you're telling them that you got to take even more money out of their pocket to finance immigrants that come all across the border illegally at the behest of the Democratic Party looking to secure a voting bloc.
Don't forget about the ones that they was flying in.
Did you think that would work? Did you think that would work? Ladies and gentlemen, Kamala Harris wasn't perfect, but she worked her you-know-what off to try to make this happen. And to be quite honest with you, she didn't do too much that was wrong. I actually feel sorry for her because she busted her tail and did all that she could in those 110 days that she had available to her. She could have done some things differently, fine. But she put in that work. But what we learned last night is that she never had a chance. Because too many American citizens are too disgusted with what they see from the extreme left, who are the progressives, who apparently hijacked the Democratic Party and leaned them and pulled them so far to the left that they felt, hell, even if it is Donald Trump, at least that would be closer to us recognizing the country that we live in as opposed to what we've been subjected to. And in the end, celebrities who are worth hundreds of millions, if not billions, who most American citizens feel are incredibly detached from their way of life and their quality of life, we're not going to get away in guilting them into doing something different than what their experience says is going on and what they should do about it. That's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. That's just the truth.
Mm-hmm. All right. Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith take on how the Democratic Party lost the election. If you found any of this content valuable, please like, share, subscribe, comment to the channel. You know what I mean. I can't remember that shit all the time. Like, share, comment, subscribe. But I remember this right here. Love yourself. Treat yourself. Don't beat yourself. Love yourself. Holla. Yeah.